if you're not part of the One Conscious Love Network yet, please join us. I'm going to put the links in the comments. And so you can join this beautiful, vibrant community that we are all part of. I would love to have you there. So without further ado, I want to go around and let every one of you introduce yourself, tell everyone what it is that you do, and then answer the first question. What does awakened feminine mean to you? And how do you own your journey of reclaiming her begin? So Heidi, please take us away.
Hello, everybody. So my name is Heidi, as Melanie already said. I live in Germany. I am founder of Akava, that is a frequency-based resonance work that helps people to get back into their true essence, to remember their true essence. So as you can hear, I'm not an English native speaker, so I'm sorry if I mispronounce anything, but that's okay. Yeah, I think you will understand me. So your first question. So I was really thinking a lot about this question the last week, because for me, the divine feminine cannot be seen as something separate from the divine masculine. So for me, it's having like both energies in a nutshell. If I see my incarnational life, it's like a nutshell, and I have both energies there. But yes, on one hand, the feminine side, and in my case at least it was so, the feminine side was like not seen. It was like completely in an overdrive from the masculine side. Yeah. And what did happen in my case? So I just can say it from my personal perspective. This is very personal. I grew up in a family where the feminine always had to be lower than the masculine. So the masculine always was there, guiding and leading, but not in a loving way, not in a way the divine feminine really needs it. Yeah, and so the divine feminine in my case was not able to receive. So I had to learn on a completely new scale the last years what it means to receive. Yeah, to fully embrace the moment of receiving again, the moment of being guided by this divine feminine force. And I don't see the divine feminine force as something merely soft and wonderful to see. Sometimes I also see the fierce and destructive side that the feminine can have and show. I see this in my courses when this side wakes up, yeah, and it's beautiful to see that when we start seeing both sides as equal, when we bring them into balance, and I'm really grateful that I was able to do this move, then suddenly the outside mirrors back to you this wholeness. Yeah, so first when I recognized that I was hurting myself, that I was really hurting my divine feminine and pushing her down and everything, when I learned to overcome that, when I learned to overcome this masculine patterns that were there before, I finally met my partner that I have now. And we are not, and there's no comparison. There is no ego thing going on between us. It's just the divine feminine and masculine. But because he is in his wholeness, he has both energies whole, and I have them hopefully whole. I don't say I'm perfect. Yeah, don't misunderstand me. But there's always something to learn. So I'm really happy to be part of this. And yeah, I give my part for now, and let's see who else.
Beautiful. Thank you, Heidi. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Robin, please go ahead.
Thank you. And hello, it's nice to be here and see so many beautiful faces on the screen. So I'm Robin. I recently founded a project called the Butterfly House Project, which is a passion project for me. For those who are called to deepen themselves in community trust and grow with courage and grit through intuitive, artful, and soul-centered practices. And I call this work and myself an imagination doula. And so, for me, the answer to this first question, and likewise Heidi, I've, been sort of rolling these around in my mind over the last week because, they can feel a little trite, just to answer them, but the richness, I think, of what kind of fertile soil starts to really bring forth that awakening is different. And so for me, I remember very distinctly in my late 20s, early 30s, being called to study women's studies, which is now women and gender studies, but back in the day, it was still just women's studies, and crying, like bawling my eyes out every single class on my way home, because it was like an axe shattering the ice in the river. Like everything that I was learning was destroying my worldview, and it was through that sort of opening and that lens that I was like, holy crow, I don't know anything about anything anymore. There's there are reasons that are very systemic that directly apply to the reasons why I've been shut down and feel the way I feel about things and have been treated the way that I feel, and have the level of confidence, or again, like you were saying, Heidi, that there's this hierarchy, right, between the gender roles. And so that was really the thing that started my exploration of the what it means to be a woman, what it means to be feminine, what does that look like? And I don't know that process is ever a complete process. I think that we are continually awakening, just like the layers of an onion, peel away, and we get to a certain level, and it's like, oh, look at that. There's more ability to receive, or there's more ability to, be in my rage about the things that are completely messed, because my heart is more open.
That's beautiful. And I'm looking forward to read your chapter in the book and see that there's a lot more to it than this 1-minute answer. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Tracy, please go ahead.
So I'm Tracy Davies, and I do artwork, energy work, and family constellation facilitation. I've recently developed a set of more than 60 different types of coasters that address all kinds of things. So for me, this question, I too have been mulling it around all week. I agree with Heidi that it is a balance between the feminine and the masculine, and the feminine learning to be able to stand in her own power, which has been a struggle for me, to say the least. And all the ways that society doesn't really let us, or doesn't encourage us to stand in our power. I also think that the divine feminine nurtures and encourages the other parts of us to be seen, and for us to embrace those other parts and explore those other parts of us.
Beautiful. Thank you. Heather,
Thank you.
please.
Hello, everyone. It's an absolute honour to be here. I'm based just outside London in England, but I work on Zoom for clients worldwide. And I've been teaching meditation for over 30 years, and I clear the Akashic records and ancestral shadows that can go back up to 6 to 8 generations. So I've also been pondering on these lovely questions, Melanie. And you've asked, what does the awakened feminine mean to me? And how did my own journey of reclaiming her begin? And on a personal level, for me, the awakened feminine is that sweet spot where softness meets power. And she knows her worth, she trusts her intuition and feels safe in her own skin. My awakening began when my marriage came to an end when I was 49. And I'd been with my husband since I was nearly 16 years old. So when it ended, I didn't just lose the relationship, I lost my identity. And on reflection, for years, I lived in my masculine, constantly doing and fixing, providing, and holding everything together. I was always the problem solver, the one everyone leaned on, the one who made sure life ran smoothly. And I pushed my own needs aside, ignoring my feelings, and I forgot what it felt like to simply be on the receiving end. And I thought strength meant always being in control. But in reality, I was disconnected from my softer, more sensual, intuitive, and receptive side, the part of me that thrives when I allow myself to feel, to rest, and be supported. So living only in my masculine left me exhausted, unfulfilled, and craving connection, even though I had been giving so much to others. So, reclaiming my feminine meant awakening a part of me that I'd ignored, the intuitive, receptive, and creative energy that thrives when I allow myself to feel, to receive, and to be supported. And this is what I share with the women that I work with. It's about being seen for who we truly are and receiving nurturing without guilt and being held in a way that lets us relax and just exist without pressure. And to me, that's the awakened feminine, being fully present in your softness, your power, and your ability to attract love and connection without any force.
I love that. Beautiful. Thank you. Rebecca.
Oh, thank you. That really was right on, Heather. Thank you, and everybody sharing. I live in British Columbia, like Melanie, and in the cold north part of it, though. And we ranch up here. So my kind of coaching and helping is a little bit different. I was thinking of your question too. That was very good. And so at first I thought it was my approach is a little different, so I haven't thought a lot about that, the feminine side, but and so I thought, well, it's kind of a far off concept, but I was kind of following Melanie and watching what she's doing and sharing about. So I feel like it's really, really kind of being about being fully alive in your body. So where I come from in my approach is that I feel like as women, we sometimes don't have the health in our bodies to even start to have a choice to branch out or make the different changes that need to be made, like Heather was saying. So I feel like having that energy and calm and clarity that comes from my kind of gut health, vagus nerve coaching helps with choices that can help line up with who I really am. And my own journey started when I needed it. gut health and nervous system health. It was affecting me and my family. And so once I started working with some tools for that, and I felt like finally then you have the space really to hear yourself think through what your body really needs to live, more with that peace and that strength. So that's where I start and what I do in my journey and what's helped me. And yeah, it's just so great to be a part of this wonderful group and everybody's experiences and all that. Thank you so much.
So great to have you. Thank you, Rebecca. Bryony, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bryony Rogers from Heartsong Healing, and I'm a voice empowerment coach. And I work mainly with women to support them stepping into greater authenticity with the voice and also greater empowerment with the voice. So this question of the awakened feminine is really central to my life and to my work. And I see, for me, my personal journey began with losing a lot of personal power and energy when I was ill with chronic fatigue syndrome. And my way of healing and recovering that was by using my voice and using energy healing. So I came into the journey of studying and researching voice practices for well-being as well as energy healing to a very high level. And I see this question of what is the awakened feminine really essential in the work that I do with women daily. And I see women stepping into their power through reclaiming the relationship with the self, and essentially we speak about the masculine and the feminine, and Heather was speaking so articulately about the energy of the masculine overrunning and not leaving space for the feminine. And in the work that I do and the work that healed me personally, I create space and time for women to re-experience the energy of their voice as a healing tool, as an empowerment tool, and as a expression tool for all the parts of what it means to be a woman. And so by creating that time and space, and obviously I use specific tools and practices and exercises, and I've done a lot of training in this area, but essentially I'm supporting women to re-experience and reawaken a power that is in which we can all feel when we do freedom voice practices like sounding and singing and toning. And so that's that freedom that I experience in the voice when it is released and re-embodied is, I think, the essence of the awakened feminine. The power that we speak of and the strength and also the receptivity, a sort of undercurrent of my work is very much around intuition and receiving guidance, because my spiritual journey began through connecting deeply with spirit when I was living in the Findhorn Foundation in Scotland and receiving huge downloads of guidance. And so I see that the feminine we can receive deeply wisdom, knowledge, and awareness about ourselves that we can then share with others, and that can transform our lives in so many ways. So that's a little bit about my journey and about my work and how I see this question.
Beautiful, Bryony. Thank you so much. Beverly, please.
Yes, thank you. All right. Well, what does the awakened feminine mean to me? It means someone who is truly authentic, love-based, nurturing, self-care driven, full of self-love, natural, and is operating on a high frequency because everything is energy, and raising our frequency is key to our health. I'm a certified holistic health counselor specializing in the use of Young Living essential oils, which have been my medicine after food for 26 years now. And I also created my own healing modality that I call MASS. It stands for Meditation Aromatherapy Sound Session, where I combine meditation, aromatherapy, and I play my Himalayan singing bowls. And my new business, which is just a little over a year old, Aminata's Holistic Healing Arts, AHA, is dedicated to wellness, where wellness meets the arts, because I've been an artist all my life, and I know the value of the arts in healing. And we all come here to heal, I believe. So when you combine the arts in the healing process, well, healing is an art itself, in and of itself. So I love combining dance and music and qigong. All of these literally raise your frequency, help the body to heal, and they're expressive. And the word awakened strikes me because with Young Living, we have blends, and there is one called Awaken. And all of the blends carry the frequency of their names. So, you know, I can illustrate a story, but now's not the time. But these oils literally have been my passion for life, and one drop can make a difference. So I use that with my clients, and yeah, we've got to awaken because the world needs us now more than ever. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love it. Thank you. Sunny, please go ahead.
Hi there, I'm Sunni Dawson. So I'm a psychic medium and a transformational therapeutic coach. I have been on this journey of awakening for such a long time, as all of us here have, and we all have such beautiful stories to share. The awakened feminine means to me about claiming our power as women and not being okay, I've got to speak a bit louder. Is that better?
Much
So
better. Thank you.
Okay, so the awakened feminine means to me is about claiming our power, not being in the victim mode, but really enhancing our authentic and our innate powers and accessing that. So my journey started in my early 20s. I was a radical feminist and lawyer, and I was on every street march, fighting the good fight on the streets, and it was. Like I felt like I was empowered at that time, but I really wasn't, because I was all about fighting the system. And while I still really genuinely believe in systemic change and the importance of systemic change, the real awakening happened for me when I started my healing journey from extensive traumatic childhood abuse. And really that journey really led me through understanding and being associated with my body, because I was so disassociated from my body, understandably. And actually then through therapy, and which is why I love therapy today, is really understanding the root cause of why I want to fight, and how that mirrors what's in me, mirrors on the outside. So I know now that, doing our own internal healing and processes affects everything around us, So it's an incredible journey that I've had, and I love guiding people through through that, and also just to balance their masculine and feminine energies, because often we're always stepping into our masculine to get shit done, and we have to do that to a certain extent, but then it's like coming into, well, where's our innate power and our action within the inaction and within the feminine. And so I love exploring that, and yeah, that's a little bit from me. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Kendra.
Hello there, everybody. Glad to be here. I'm Kendra. I am a style coach, and I help women with their style through their intuition and their personal expression. I created a system for this. It's called the Style Matrix, and it has 5 codes based on style psychology and how you're meant to show up in the world and lead in the world. And there's 5 different ways that people tend to do this. And I believe every woman's style should actually match up with that. So that's what I help women do. Recently, I've been working on some stuff with color. Color psychology is so good for healing, and we can wear the best colors that radiate with our frequency, and it's so healing. So I've been adding a spiritual component to my color analysis services. But as far as the awakened feminine, it's a subject that I really love because I'm all about personal expression. And for me, I really believe that the feminine and the awakened feminine is all about developing a centered feminine perspective. And I think we take for granted that we even know that there's a divine feminine, because when we're in this Western world, like for me, I had to discover that. I didn't always know that it was there. So I had to discover that. And then I had to develop a feminine perspective from that, and then, develop a way to express through that. So how my discovery looked was in my early 20s, I came from a very religious background. And just through going to college and learning about different religions, I just came to see that I'd never really seen a divine feminine expression at all. And so developing a perspective away from the patriarchy and being able to see the different expressions without filtering them through a stereotype, I think was the first thing that I had to deconstruct. And once I was able to do that, I was able to see that the divine feminine actually is a limitless expression of power, and it can be filtered through so many different lenses. And I think that's why it's important for me, is because we all have a different way to express the divine feminine. And I just don't ever want people to think that it's a stereotype. So I think that's what is important to me about it.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. And I see some comments in the Zoom chat. Don't be shy to comment on Facebook so that everyone can see your comments. That's totally encouraged. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to go with our second question. And I had a thought for time purpose to kind of combine the second and third question. And so hopefully you can all see them here in the Zoom chat. And so, what I would like for you to do in this next series of answers is to say, in what way do you see women being disconnected from their power of voice or body? And what practice helps them restore that connection? And at the same time, if you could answer, if you could whisper one truth to every woman ready to awaken, what would it be? And so, Heidi, please go ahead.
So I'm the first one. So again, thank you, Melanie. That was a wonderful question, in my opinion, because in my work, I see so many disconnected people, disconnected from their voice, disconnected from bodies, and a lot of traumatic experience lead to that. And I can just tell out of my own story that I was completely disconnected from my body. Yeah, and that led to an autoimmune disease, which now is healed. So there's nothing left about that. But it was exactly about that. I gave my power away to this masculine energy, and I could not step into my feminine, because the feminine roles that were played around me were always victims and not healthy and all this stuff. So how do you want a young woman to learn from all these roles? Yeah. So now I had to laugh when Kendra was speaking, because I actually had no style. Yeah, I could not find my style, my own style, between a weak feminine part and this really violent masculine part that I experienced during young years. I see this in so many clients, not only women, but also men, that really are disconnected from parts of them, and they are disconnected from exactly that part that we are talking about, the divine feminine, their divine feminine energy that could actually nurture their systems, could help them to get out again of whatever disease they have and help them heal completely. So, if I could whisper one truth to everybody out there, not only women, but everybody out there, is don't be afraid. Make whatever move you need to make. Yeah, no matter if you say, oh no, and I had clients today, oh no, I can't do that move. I'm like, just, hey, I'm going to stand behind you and I'm going to push you if necessary. Yeah, but make that move because nothing will happen. Yeah, nothing bad will happen to you. But we are still that little child scared and say, no, I cannot do that. Yes, you can. And I'm so proud about some of my students that I say, yes, you can, guys, you can do that. Just make that move and start playing again in this wonderful world. Thank you for that question. I mean, I could be a marketing genius and say, come to one of my sessions, but that's not me. But that's not me, unfortunately. That's not my style. But thank you so much, guys.
Well, then we'll invite everyone to connect with you at the very least. Thanks, love. That's great. Robin, please go ahead.
I resonate with the not being a marketing genius, so that really made me laugh, Heidi. This, I could probably speak for the next year and a half on this question alone because I spent the last 21 years of my career working in community radio. And so I have not only my own story about how coming to understand how disconnected my voice was, but stories and examples of hundreds of other no, I won't say mostly women. It's a different disconnection that men and women have with their voice. But our ability to connect with our truth really becomes exemplified when we're asked to speak what that is about our authentic selves, or what's genuinely happening for us. And then it lodges in different places in our bodies. That tension is held. The dead air that happens in our voice also gets stagnant in our bodies. For me, the thing that has really helped is that I've taken up clowning as an art form and a practice, and I have never experienced something that's quite so illuminating in terms of where and how my body wants to go in terms of its own impulse, and really tuning into what my impulse is without distraction. And it's absolutely the hardest thing that I've ever done and continue to try to practice because we're so disconnected. So for me, I encourage clowning as one way. Also, community radio and broadcasting is another amazing way for people to really get in touch with their voice and their power, and to come to one of my workshops. No. And this question of what I could whisper to every woman, I think as Heidi said as well, it's just it's not something that only we need to hear. We certainly need to speak up and make space for ourselves, and not be shy about that. But there's a level of what feels safe and unsafe in the world still that exists as a reality for a lot of people. And that needs to shift. It's one thing to be in groups of like-minded people and say what we want and bare our hearts and souls, but without being able to do that in bigger and broader spaces in the world, still keeps us trapped in a world that isn't a better place. And so, you know, understanding, I think, where safety is an issue and risk is something that we get to step into is really one of the important things that we can be more curious about and brave about, I guess, to broaden what those spaces might look like, so that, you know, we get to show up in more places with more impact.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Heather, please go ahead.
Another great question, Melanie, here, isn't it? Speaking from the clients that I've worked with over all the years, they're brilliant women. And there's masculine and feminine energy within all of us, but the masculine has gone up and the feminine's gone down, and there is an imbalance. And I'm all about bringing everything back to balance when I'm working with my client. So the masculine is leading, it's achieving, it's holding it all together, but feeling emotionally empty. So when I'm working with women regarding end of relationships, whether that's a live-in relationship, a divorce, whatever it is, they kind of put armor around their heart space and they shut down their vulnerability because they're protecting themselves, and therefore they disconnect from their sensuality. So to restore that connection, I work holistically. Nervous system regulation, meditation, sacred journaling, and deep energetic clearing in their Akashic records. So we find out from the Kabbalah astrology what they've come to learn in their current lifetime. We find out what their soul chose as their life theme and challenge before they incarnated. And all of this, it brings them back to their body, their heart, and their truth. So if I could whisper one truth to the women watching this today, you're not broken. You've simply been surviving in ways that dim your light. Everything you've been searching for, love, safety, belonging, is already inside you. Your only job is to come home to yourself.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Rebecca, please.
That was beautiful. I'll tag on to the back of that a bit because I just think I think the beauty of it is there's so many tools in our toolbox in a group like this, right? And I feel like so many women, they feel disconnected because our bodies get stuck in survival mode, like you were saying, and just exhausted, inflamed, anxious. And so when the gut health is off, it affects the brain and the hormones and the mood. And so when your body feels unsafe, it's almost impossible to really have that confidence in your voice or your choices. Like I had said before, that's the biggest thing for me, because you don't have choices when you're just so depleted and you have the brain fog and you're just trying to survive. So what I love to offer is I've got some simple practices, some product lines that some others, like they have their product lines. I've got a couple that I love that kind of just help restore that connection with healing the gut and then activating the vagus nerve to really to calm that nervous system, giving the body the tools really to shift. It's important to shift out of that fight or flight mode. And so that's what I love watching all of that come together for women. Once we feel safe in our bodies, you get your natural confidence, you get your power back. Even all of this is affects your libido, that sensual aspect of it. It's really amazing. Just with a few tools that I love to use in the coaching that I do, how quickly it kind of shifts all that for ladies, and it's very exciting. What I'd whisper to women, I guess maybe your body is not your enemy. So you want to really embrace the seasons, the changes in life. Don't be afraid to try new forms of help, to nourish your gut, to calm your nervous system, and just kind of honor your body's needs, and then we help you thrive, not just survive. And I think that's just one of my biggest passions, in helping women. I mean, everyone, but we're focusing here on the women today. So it's been very exciting, to watch the transformations in just hundreds of lives. It's really exciting. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Bryony.
Yeah, lovely. I'm loving hearing everyone's responses. Yeah, so I see women often coming to me for coaching or on my weekend retreats or in my one-off events. I often see them sharing a sense of disconnection and often a sense of not really inhabiting the power and not really inhabiting the sense of the voice. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's just a little bit quiet.
Oh, so hang on 1 second. That's strange. I have got my microphone plugged in. Oh, it's turned down. Is that better?
Try it again.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, better. Yeah, if you can
Okay,
make it a little louder, it'd be even better.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah. Definitely, I see that often with women, and I am blessed to have some very powerful tools that I use and practices that I share where I really enable women to re-experience their voice and to use their voice for balancing the whole energy system. And these practices are fundamental as part of the song and sound ceremonies and the 5-week voice immersion that I offer that are coming up soon. I do them regularly. And in those practices, I do see real reawakening of that power and reawakening of the voice, especially seeing the well-being benefits. And what I would whisper to all women who are in any way feeling that disconnection is to remember yourself, remember your power, remember and reconnect. Do everything. Just take a breath, a deep breath. Find a way to reconnect with the inside. You can do that through sounding practices, through meditation, through energy work like Qigong, and all these things I offer as part of my work. But come back to yourself, to your center, and remember who you are.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Beverly, please.
Yes, thank you. What ways do you see women being disconnected from their power, voice, and body? Well, the first thing is they're too connected to technology. So that would be the first thing. Turn off the TV, get away from the swiping and come to nature and be in the real world. Personally, I've stopped watching TV, which I call television. It wasn't my original word, but anyway, when you had to pay for it. In the States, TV used to be free, but maybe it's now 20 years ago that you had to pay. And I refuse to pay to be lied to and propagandized. So nature is the truth for me, and knowing yourself, know who you are. You know, it took me years to get to that point, but I'm here now and loving. And what I'd whisper is love yourself first. But I think if you learn to experience life through the arts, preferably, you know, the arts are a beautiful way of living, you know, and nature is God's art. Art is man's nature. Nature is God's art. That was a quote that I did as an art project in elementary school, I think, with calligraphy. And it's so true. Art is man's nature. Nature is God's art. And we are godlike, hopefully. And let's live in nature. Let's live in the real world and love yourself. When you love yourself, you can truly love everyone else because it's all about love. Thank you.
Beautiful. And what would you whisper to someone, you know, the question, if you could whisper one truth
Yeah,
to
I'd
every
whisper,
woman?
love yourself first.
I love it.
Love yourself first. It took me years to get to that point, but once I did, it changes everything. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you so
Welcome.
much. Sunny, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. That's so beautiful. I appreciate everyone's answers so much. In terms of what I see as where women are most disconnected, is actually as a psychic medium. So I see clients every single day. But the thing that Source, God, the universe, angels, people's angels, and all there's so many messages over and over again about how disconnected women are from their wombs. And so there's always lots and lots of advice around women getting in touch with their wombs, which is what energetically is our source of our intuition and our power. So, and it also is a tool like the control, and you know, I'm an ex-lawyer as well, but the control over women's reproductive systems and reproductive health has had us disconnected from our innate power. And so in terms of us reclaiming that, and is to really get in touch, and there's like all sorts of practices you can do to get in touch with your womb and get in touch in terms of understanding how to empower yourself and really feeling in as our intuition and power source. And they can be as simple as massaging your womb, you know, your belly at night, you know, with essential oils. And I'm sure Beverly can share some of hers with with everybody about that. But it's like essential oils, doing jade egg practices, start talking to your womb. I know that sounds like a bit of a foreign concept, but I do a lot of parts work in my transformational therapeutic coaching. So it's just like really talking to this part of ourselves and say, how are you feeling today? How are you feeling about that? You know, what do you need? And really listening to our womb. And the more we listen to our womb, the more we breathe with our womb. We can do breath work practices and even jade egg practices to really get in touch and heal our wombs. And when we do that, we can step more and more into our intuition and power. And what I would whisper to people, one truth, is really to learn how to trust yourself. And I think to trust ourselves takes time. And I think we weren't born not trusting ourselves, but it was taught into us as we're growing up, not to trust ourselves, not to trust our intuition or what we believe to be our truth or our needs. And so I really encourage everyone to learn how to trust themselves, learn how to trust their wombs so that they can live, you know, freer, more healthier, happier lives.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Kendra, please.
My internet connection is weak, so I'm going to try to hurry through this to get everything I want to say. So I really see a lot of women being disconnected from their power, voice, or body. It comes through the body and through comparison. And as women, comparison has been weaponized against us. And it's something that women are extremely susceptible to. And I feel like a lack of knowledge is what caused that. People, and women in particular, don't know a lot about their bodies. They don't know a lot about how it functions because of the medical establishment, like someone else was saying, but also about um, you know, hair, how to take care of it, and what kind of body type do you have, and like, how do I feel the best? There's a lot that goes into the knowledge about the body that keeps women in comparison and disconnected. And what I like to say is that women are on this invisible staircase where they're always striving and comparing for something that doesn't even exist. But women should not be looking at things like that. How they should look at it, and how we could restore the connection between women and healing this comparison that we're prone to, is by looking at women like a garden. Each woman is a beautiful, distinct flower. And when you look at yourself like that, it takes away that comparison, and you can begin to develop your unique voice, your unique qualities, and that is the gateway to your unique power.
Beautiful. And what would you whisper one truth to every woman who's
One truth
listening?
I would whisper is, what you want, what's you back. Stop resisting it.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. Tracy, please go ahead.
So how I see women disconnected, I guess for me, I was extremely disconnected with my body, with all many different parts of me, with my divine feminine and my divine masculine. I was much more in my masculine than feminine. But one of the things that I saw very prevalently was the difference between power over and standing in your own power. There are so many of us that we have a health problem. The first thing that we do is go to the doctor and want the doctor to solve it for us. Give me something that's going to make this go away. And just by doing that, we've given our power away. Right from a very, very young age, as women, I was taught that I need to ask a man. I need to ask, I need to find out from the men in my life what was acceptable, what can I do, what's going to fix this, what's like. So there was so much of that, and there was always power over, and I had to learn what made me powerful, and I had to learn how to stand in my own power. So if there was one truth that I would want to give to whisper to everybody, is look and see the difference between power over and standing in your own power, and discover what makes you powerful to stand in your own power.
Beautiful. I love it.
Thank you. And
so
I
much.
totally loved everything that everybody else has said. That's like, wow.
Yes. Thank you so much to all of you, our panelists today. And please put all of your links in the comments so it's easy for people to connect with you and find you. And to everyone watching, please do reach out. These are beautiful souls, and they have a breadth of knowledge that they are willing to share with you. So please connect, make a new friend, and learn and grow. And thank you so much, all of you, for being here today. And please, everyone, join us in the One Conscious Love Network. There's so much more in the group that is so much more content that is being delivered in the group only. The link is in the comments. I look forward to having you there. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.